Hey everybody, welcome to the Escape Pod. I am Sal.
I'm Josiah.
And I'm Nathan.
And this is fucking Berserk. I don't know if there's a montage there.
What you want?
Because that was hard to do last time. I mean,
was it? It looked beautiful.
It took me half an hour, but it was good. I liked it.
It was
Yeah,
good.
it was.
I loved it. It got me so pumped.
Oh,
like
fuck
I am
yeah.
now.
Then I might actually make it now that it gets you pumped up.
Yeah, got us. It brought us 5,000 views by now from all the people.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. I want to thank everyone from Skull Knight and from the Berserk subreddit who watched our first episode, and then 8 of you subscribed. Yeah, which is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's not a lot, guys, but honestly, like, we just want people to listen to what we do and enjoy it, and hopefully want to listen to all that we do in the future and all that we've done now, because we've done quite a few Escape Pod videos.
There's like 25 episodes, I think. Yeah, so this week, if you want to go ahead and pause it and go watch it, we watched episode 4, Hand of God, and then 5, A Wind of Swords. We're talking about episode 4 right now.
So basically, this episode opens up. Guts is sitting on the battlements, holding a sword, looking off into the sunset as he often does. Before Judo comes up and he says, like, hey, you gossiping with the birds? And he's just being really friendly.
He really loves that bird joke, because I swear he made it like last time too, when they like brought him down for the celebration. And he's like,
what are you doing up here? Gossiping with the birds? Still talking to those birds, are you?
hey, I'm Judo. I'm the fun character.
I'm funny.
He loves his running jokes.
I'm the comic relief.
Yeah, Corcus is the nitwit comic relief.
Fuck Corcus.
Yeah.
I want to say that Corcus's duckbeak helmet evolves.
Yeah. It does. You know, he evolved to Mega Corcus.
Mega Corcus. Corcus has become Mega Corcus.
Yeah.
Fucking
whatever.
Corcus.
Play the evolution theme. I don't know Pokemon all that well. Speaking of Pokemon, Josiah, you wanted to say something.
Oh, thank you. If you didn't know this already, this whole anime, the 97 anime, is done by Studio OLM. The only other thing of note they've really done has been like 37 and a half seasons of Pokemon. But I find it interesting because actually sometimes when you look at the character models, it's definitely like in that same kind of style. But given the content and the kind of the lighting and direction, it's like completely different feel, obviously. Definitely that era of anime, really early Pokemon. It's really interesting to me. We're never doing a Pokemon retrospective, right? I'm just saying that.
No.
Unless you get to the Patreon.
If you give to our Patreon, we'll review it by 20 episodes at a time. Yeah, we'll get through it.
Eventually.
But
to the episode where like they're having this talk and it's like kind of like a wide shot and it's like really pretty, and it saves you budget at the same time.
There's this really interesting moment. I didn't get the full quote down because it's this really long thing. You know, it's while Judo and Guts are chilling up on the wall talking to birds. Guts basically straight up goes, "What kind of guy is Griffith?" And Judo gives this really great response where,
Now listen. I can't really describe it, but I think Griffith really believes in something beyond battle, beyond victory. Now, it's probably something he won't realize in his lifetime, but something drives him. It's something ordinary people like us can never understand.
A belief? In what?
In everything.
like, that's such a it's such a good inspirational moment, but it's also such a like what are you talking about? Beyond what?
And they set that up, and it gets paid off later over in a different scene, which I really like. He asks about him with some of the other Band of the Hawk members, and then he later gets to know him a bit more. And Judo also says, like, yeah, it's his charisma, you know.
He's very high level charisma. Like he rolled very well on his charisma. Yeah,
he says, yeah, we fight and kill in battles all the time, but we're able to have a life away from that violence, and I think Griffith helps us with that.
That's one of the funny things is it might be on the Berserk wiki, like on some page that's like information about Griffith. You know how like for most animes they have like powers and abilities of the characters and whatnot. And one of the for Griffith, it is literally like he has this very strong charisma where he's able, and it's like that's a power and ability.
Yeah,
it's an ability.
It very much is.
It's an ability like being strong, you know. It's a
Oh fuck.
Guts min-maxed to strength, and Griffith went straight for charisma and luck. You know.
Jesus Christ.
Guts. I have a funny feeling you'll fit in with the Band of the Hawk just fine.
And I'm like, oh, buddy.
It's so good.
Yeah, Judo being a cool guy. And then, Guts goes off to meet with Griffith, who is, and then he just kind of comes around this corner, and Griffith's just, like, naked, and, like...
In just the totally most heterosexual scene. There is nothing going on here. Just two guys getting wet.
Having a water fight.
Getting naked.
Just guys being dudes.
Just dudes being dudes.
Griffith is giving himself a bath, basically, because back in the day, no showers, you just kind of dunk yourself with water and it washes all the shit off of you.
Yeah. I think this was just in my copy, but did anyone else's have Hanging with the Boys start playing during the scene? I think that might have been just my copy. I got it from a batch.
Might have been in the background.
He can be his wingman anytime. But no, jokes aside, so it's this really like cute, lovable scene of both of them having like basically like a super soaker match.
It's nice seeing Guts having a nice time.
Yeah,
because he's been so brooding and so like fuck everything. It's nice to see him laugh,
which is funny because of where this episode goes. But
yeah.
I think they purposely started it out that way, so they're like, hey, you know, later on this is gonna get pretty rough. Maybe you should enjoy this.
But then they kind of calm down, and then we have the fucking scene that Nathan, in the last episode, if you remember, there's a bit towards the end where Nathan says, doesn't this happen? Then we bleep him out. This is the scene. Now, Nathan, do you want to talk about it now when it actually does happen?
Thank you for fucking pointing that thing out that didn't happen, because there's
for totally calling you out. Yeah, you're welcome.
No, there's no fucking record of it, so I think you don't listen to him. I spoil nothing. But actually, before that, not wanting to jump ahead, because I would never do that.
Oh, fuck.
What actually happens before that whole thing that I haven't talked about yet is we get a shot of Der Baylit. After they sort of soak themselves out and get all exhausted, they sit down and Guts is like, hey, what's this fucking pear thing with weird facial features on it? And then Griffith goes, oh yeah, this fortune teller gave this to me and was like, she called it the Egg of the King. It's a Baylit, and says that whoever owns this is destined to rule the world. And it's like, oh,
in exchange for your
flesh and blood, of course.
In exchange for your flesh and blood. Then he gets a look at it, and one of the eyes opens, and he's like, "What the?" So we find out that Griffith has this kind of creepy thing, kind of alive.
Maybe. I love how you don't know. Like, you're just like, what the fuck?
And he holds it up and he says, "Be afraid."
So in the original version in the manga, he says, "Pretty cool, huh?" But I do like how in this translation,
I feel like Kevin T. Collins was just riffing, and then
I think that's entirely possible.
Being that he doesn't do that in the movie, spoiler, I could definitely see that being a thing.
I remember in the movies he says, "Pretty neat, huh?"
Which is closer. But yeah, so we get the Baylit scene, this weird, that'll probably never come up again. And then we get this little speech with Guts, and he talks about how, having said that he has a Baylit that is supposedly means he's going to rule the world at the cost of his own flesh and blood, he then goes on the speech about how
we have only just taken the first step. The Band of the Hawk, victory in several battles, it is the dawn, just the beginning. The real fun for us has yet to come. We will risk our lives for it.
He will have his own kingdom. Just to add on this layer of
creepy,
kind of creepy. But then he immediately got into,
I will have my own kingdom. You must fight for me, because you belong to me. I will choose the place where you will die for me.
And I will ultimately decide where you die. Your life is mine. Which, Kevin T. Collins says it. It sounds
so
like
matter
almost
of fact.
Like matter of fact, like I've got this all worked out. But the fact that he's saying, your ass is mine, I decide when you die.
It just supercharges the moment. What I like about this, what the anime does so effortlessly, and what the scene does so effortlessly, is it flows from these different tones of, oh, we're having a real fun time, this is really great, we're buddies, to this thing's really fucking weird and eerie and ugh. And then this is really inspiring, and then at the end it's like, oh, well, that was odd.
Good pacing.
Yeah, right?
Oh my god, cannot say that enough.
This is how you pace your episodes. Not to point any fingers or name any names.
No.
I don't know what you're talking about. In the good old year of 1997, this was the shit.
Yeah.
Still is the shit, to be honest.
Basically, after that scene, kind of an introductory scene. I believe it's just them entering a battle, right?
It's them on like a cliff, and the Griffith's like, here we fucking go. And then Guts starts kind of like internally monologuing about, what have I really been doing like for the past like a couple years of my life? And can Griffith even really rise to power? He's just a fucking like ruler of some mercenary. Like he's not anyone like of note. Kind of actually prefer this scene, how they tell this, and how it is in the manga a little bit.
Oh, really?
Or at least it's just really well done, because I remember in the manga he's monologuing about it and then he kind of just cut away. Then in the show they really actually use the phrase correctly. That triggers him to think about his past.
And I'm just gonna say, like, in the manga, his past, all of that happens in the first like 2 chapters of the actual Golden Age arc. But what the anime does with it is really nice, because like you said, instead of it cutting away, they decide to use this moment to trigger, a flashback. One thing that's interesting is the kind of some subtext for me is that Guts is having some doubts because he's starting to think of this mercenary group as different. Like he's starting to feel like, oh, this could be like a place to belong. Yeah. And the last time he belonged someplace, it didn't go so well.
Yeah, it's also so cool because it's cutting between him fighting then and now.
Yes.
And like it'll like Guts will go to swing in the present and it'll cut to the past as he finishes the swing. A lot of cool editing, a lot of cool pacing. A lot of cool writing. Can we just suck the dick of this enough? Like, I think...
Well, we got another, 20 episodes.
My throat's gonna be sore.
Well,
gotta lube that shit. Something that I thought was really interesting. I'm curious what you guys thought of this, because I think we talked about in the first episode Guts' whole deal with Gambino, everything that went down.
Yeah, we did. Unfortunately, I didn't realize it was in this episode.
Yeah, because I forgot that the very next episode was all about Gambino.
I completely did too. What I thought was really interesting was how fatherly Gambino actually does seem.
A little bit.
A good amount of it. Like, clearly, he's very rough on Guts, but there's still this moment of, when he's training with him, he's like,
we don't carry any baby-sized swords for kids here anyway.
Like, it very much feels like, this tough love dad that wants to roughen his kid up.
There's a scene where Gambino saves Guts when he could have just let him die.
Exactly.
Like he doesn't have to save him, and he totally does.
And I think that's kind of the tragedy of Gambino's character. He was unwilling to love. He was unwilling to love. He was a very violent man who focused all of his hatred and all of his pain on this one kid, when this kid looked up to him like a father and he could have had a really great relationship with him. It's kind of sad. Well, not kind of sad, it's fucking depressing.
It's definitely sad. And you can tell, when they're training, and it's kind of cool. We have some exposition side characters again, which will always come up, where basically they kind of say what we said last episode, where Guts fell out of his mother's womb or whatever, or fell out of his mom. Gambino's wife died whenever she got him, and it's all his fault.
Yeah, I kind of, up for debate, but I kind of wish we had seen
him being found.
But
I do like the fucking jump scare image we get of it.
Yeah, no, that was great. No, that like, if you're gonna do it and kind of abridge the events of 2 chapters, the way when Gambino later comes into the tent and says, when you were found under your mother, and then you see that iconic Berserk shot of the tree with the hanging corpses. And I think, Nathan, if I'm not mistaken, the first DVD release has that as the menu image.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, it does. And what's also really interesting was, I watched episode 5 immediately after this. There's a shot panning around that tree in the opening.
Yes.
So, you've got this fun, lighthearted, put your glasses on, and then you're fucking zooming around this tree filled with corpses that Guts was found with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of fucked up.
And also, it's a small detail, and it won't come up for probably until the movies, but in that same opening shot with the music, there's, by the corpse tree, I'll call it, there's a bunch of fallen icons to the holy sea image of God, which is interesting. I'm just dropping it now.
I miss all that shit.
Yeah, no, it's so subtle, but
I think this is a good opportunity to talk about how they do aging of characters.
Yeah.
So subtly. This kind of bridges into episode 5 a little bit, because we, in these 2 episodes, see Guts go from a kid to a preteen to a teen to an adult to a slightly older adult. And it's so subtle, but you can kind of tell when you like compare the two that, okay, this character is obviously older than the other one. And it's not done with like, oh, now his hair's a little more gray, or it's like, no, you can just tell structurally.
His facial structure.
His face developed, and it's so fucking...
And his biceps, am I right?
Fucking... Oh my god.
And props to his young English voice actor too. She jumps from young kid to preteen really, really well. Like there's just a little bit more deepness to her voice.
It's so good.
Which is great. Honestly, okay. I love Mark Derison muchly. I think he's the best Guts ever. I will say I think that the young voice actor does a little bit better job of jumping ages, because I don't think Guts sounds a lot different before and after the 3-year time skip.
He doesn't.
He has a little bit of like, I am sorry.
It's not so much a vocal difference, just that the way he delivers his lines, he's a more wise character.
It's not as much shouting or
not as much rage.
Guts rage. But anyway, so we get these flashbacks kind of in order of Guts in his first battle where Gambino's like, hand me my lance! And then, like, he just fucking stabs a guy, and then the body falls on Guts, and he's like, come on, don't be a pussy. And then they're just, like, sword fighting, and you get that exposition about Shisu dying, and then we don't carry any baby swords here, and so that's why Guts is always using a sword that's larger than him. I think that's a really great explanation, because usually if characters have a giant sword, it's just because, hey, it's badass.
Badass.
I will say, like, the first, and probably the only, animation complaint that I will make.
Oh, shit, what is it?
So Guts' first kill, he swings the sword at a person's neck. On the screen, the right side would be the part that hits the person's neck. Blood streams down the left side. And that made me go, wait, what? And he did not, like, cut through the person's neck like it is stuck in the neck. How does the blood...
Yeah, you're right.
How do?
Huh.
Yeah, also, so I was like, that's a little weird. But I think something really interesting that they specifically address is Gambino says,
you are a son of the devil. A doomed child condemned by fate.
Yeah, he's a child of the devil,
Yeah, that's going to come up later.
So, that's kind of a heavy thing to hear as a kid, but I think as the series goes on, you will see that that is surprisingly accurate.
And I have 2 things. First thing, originally in the manga, Guts gets his signature nose scar from the sword fight training, but in the anime they change it so it's when Gambino comes to kill him, which I think
so fucking good.
So it's like a scar to remind him of Gambino.
Always.
That's perfect. Yeah. I also love when everyone bursts into the tent, and again, there's this moment because Guts has been with these people forever, and he's like, Guts, what happened? Like, what happened to Gambino? And then, this moment of, don't tell me you did this. And, I was going to keep track of all the times I hear Sean Schemmel. He pops up a few times in this, but I did not keep
the Sean Schemmel counter.
Don't do that to me.
The next episode is a fucking legion of Schemmels, I will point it out.
Legion. I will say that Gambino's voice actor, I'm going to give him a lot of props because there's 2 scenes where he's really good. So jumping back a little bit, there's another flashback where kind of Guts goes to preteen.
Here you go. Well, keep up the good work.
Yes.
And he's kind of like, I think I kind of like you. And then at the next one of the later battles, Gambino is hit by cannon fire. And I gotta say, the cut between him getting hit, Guts shouting, and then cuts to the red sky. And it pans down and Gambino's sitting on the hill, like in silhouette with his dog. And I was like, oh my god.
Which kind of harkens back to episode 2 when Guts has the dream.
Exactly. And then Guts goes up and says,
I got the enemy commander. I won the entire reward.
The meat.
Huh?
Where's the meat to feed my dog?
Just Gambino's bitterness in his voice is so good in this scene. He hits Guts in the face, and Guts is still like, I'll bring it. And then some guys are like,
he's got it good, our Mr. Gambino. We should all follow his example.
He's like, what the fuck you just saying? And I guess he might beat the shit out of him or something. So Guts wakes up, and then he's like, Gambino? And then so the lightning flashes on Gambino. Like, his voice actor's just so good where he's like talking about,
you should be dead, you little bastard. But instead, Shisu, who found you, died in your place. And now I'm in this miserable condition. This is like a joke!
He reached a point where, he's just mockery and everything seems to go wrong. And it's all because Guts is in his life, apparently, in his mind.
You were the one who should have died. On that day 11 years ago, beneath your mother's body. You should have died!
And I love just the delivery of "you should have died."
Yeah.
It's just so good. And Guts stabs him.
I hated you, following me around like a dog after you killed Shisu. You killed her!
You know, in self-defense. But I just really like Gambino in this episode. Like, he's like in half an episode, but he's just so good. Like, you get everything about him.
Then Guts gets a horse, runs away, everyone's shouting. Like, there's some voice actors that are kind of like giving weird deliveries, but it's so adorable that I don't care.
He was like a father to him for 10 years.
Wait,
and Guts betrayed
Nathan,
him.
could you do it with your classic 90s anime actor voice?
Oh, I know one of the Sean Schemmel ones was, Guts went and murdered Gambino, and then the Sean Schemmel guy is like, what? You must be mistaken! Like, oh, buddy, cut. But
and then as Guts is riding away, you have these guys going, "Oh, you think you could get away?" And it's like, you guys should be like in mourning. Why are you so mocking?
This is also one of the dub complaints I have is actually just the translation of one of the lines when he's like wandering out on the ice. He says something about,
"Where am I going? If I just collapsed back there, I would be better off. If I were dead back there, there would be nothing. But now there's only bad."
But now there's only bad. And it's like,
yeah, that was weird.
Excuse me?
I saw it in my head. I rationalized it as, oh, you're hurt and tired. And
he's
broken.
got a fucking arrow through one of his lungs.
No one could survive that.
Either way, Gambino can rest now.
It's like, what the fuck? And then I almost called Guts Berserk.
I heard that.
You're fired. Get off the podcast.
Shit, okay, bye, guys.
One quick thing, Nathan. I was talking to Sal. It's just an interesting idea, and it's not a spoiler. But we were talking about what if, like, adult Guts ever run into Gambino's band again? Like, what kind of situation would that be, you know?
I could see that. You know what? I'm gonna put a pin in that topic. I'll bring it up at a later juncture. So Guts falls off a fucking cliff and lands on this frozen lake. He stumbles along and he's like, what am I fucking doing? Why don't I just die? My body is moving on its own. I don't want to live anymore.
And what I really like is they actually keep continuity with the arrow, because
I know.
Not only does it stay in the same spot, but when he does like a roll where he falls on it, it breaks.
Yes.
So good. You didn't even have to pay attention to that, because a lot of the time when people like fall to the ground when they've been shot with an arrow, like they just get up and it's just straight.
No, but Guts is like bent and like hanging off, and I'm like, this show is so good.
And then basically he there's this really cool shot which imitates a manga panel where he's laying on the ice, I guess it is, and then like the moon's above him, and then eventually wolves come.
And Guts has his face of like, well, I fucking guess so.
I love that face.
This completely, once again, this is in his mode of, why the fuck am I doing this? I don't want to live.
I love his face.
I'm just
so
doing
much.
this.
It's so tired.
Yeah, but he kills one, and then it actually cuts, like, as he's fighting the wolves back to the battle, I believe.
Yeah, as he's screaming, it transitions into older Guts screaming, and as he murders people.
I think something that's really cool, at least this is how I noted it, Guts' flashbacks, they end, and then almost immediately after that, after the battle's over, we have this scene of Griffith wandering the battlefield where bodies are everywhere, and he actually, like, pulls Guts out from a pile of bodies that he is just stuck in. And is like, oh, you're still alive, huh?
You have the devil's own luck.
Yeah. And then this is when we get to the part where Griffith... What's funny is I saw this scene in a certain other Berserk thing.
Yeah, that came out.
And I was like, I don't remember that. I guess that must be a part of the Golden Age arc that they like didn't show in the movies, and I hadn't remembered. It's in this anime. It's this scene of Griffith, you know, once again giving this speech, but this time it's even more like, wait, what? Where he talks about how...
In this world, there must be one man whose preordained course of life is the key to ruling the world, regardless of his existing social position or class.
Oh yeah, that's really cool. And then he goes on to...
That man could be part of this world's true privileged class. That man could have the absolute power of a god.
Wait, what? I feel like that's how most of Griffith's speeches and like things that he says to Guts and around Guts, they start off with like, that's really cool, and then just slowly just ends, wait, what? What are you saying?
I mean, like, the way you're describing it, it does kind of sound like, oh my god, this guy just goes on tangents. But in a way, it's more like that's kind of what draws you into who he is. Like, it just makes you more fascinated with him.
Because one thing I like about Griffith is he's very much a philosopher, I think.
Oh, yeah. The line that kind of, maybe not breaks my heart, but it hits me in certain places.
It gets your goat, you know?
Well, it's when he turns and says, like,
I know there's something more for me. It's funny, I've never told this to anyone before. Just you.
Yeah.
And it's just like, just you. And it's like, oh, buddy. Because Griffith, I feel like he's just been, his dream is all he's had. Like, he does like people and he gathers people to himself, but he's never, like, felt so close to someone to be able to tell him these sort of things. Actually, to address something earlier, is that this scene that's in this anime, and then I'm just going to say it's in the 2016 anime, it's actually not in the Golden Age arc. It actually takes place at the end of the Count arc when Guts starts remembering the Golden Age. So it's actually the first... Yeah, it's actually the first time you see Griffith in the whole manga.
I remember that, yeah. It's so good. I love it. The imagery is great because you can tell that they just fought a massive battle and that so many were killed. And Griffith's talking about this on the corpses of the people he just murdered.
Fuck yeah! It's like, wow.
It's like, holy shit!
Because like he's like Guts is like covered in like dozens and dozens of bodies. You know,
Berserk is so good.
Yeah, can I just see?
Jesus Christ!
So this fortress apparently has like the tiniest fucking trapdoor ever.
Yeah.
That just leads out to a very small balcony that Guts is just like sitting to the side of.
And then all of a sudden, Richie opens the door and knocks him out.
Rich.
And
Jesus.
No, actually, you guys, I think that's just a place where they throw shit out into the moat.
Oh,
wow. I've always wondered what the fuck that thing is. It's like, it's so weird. Yeah. But anyways, I was saying, Rico knocks him out, and, he's
a good kid.
And he's like, wow, Guts, I'm sorry. And Guts is like, you fuck. Wow, after only 2 weeks of being in the Band of the Hawk, you've already promoted to like a captain. I can't emulate Ridley.
No, that was actually pretty good.
That was surprisingly, all the cracks in your voice are like perfectly Richie, so.
Yeah, Ridley has all these cracks in his voice and it makes it so interesting.
Well, because it's probably an actual kid doing the voice.
You think? I thought it was like a female actress who
it probably is.
Who's just very well done. Who's just very good. And then Guts is like, pull me out of there. Then as he's doing that, Pippin comes out and knocks them both back in. And then for the second time in a row, towards the end of the episode, it cuts to Casca looking at Guts having fun with other people, and then pans up to the sky. That keeps happening. It's very. And then we have a cool, which I actually really enjoy this, that they don't really do, I think, in the movies, where a narrator comes in and talks about the war between Midland and Shooter, which has been going on for 100 years, and the battle's been bloody, when just fighting. It kind of says like 3 years pass, and we don't really have that in the movies, and I always felt it was jarring. But in this, it felt so. Oh, okay, 3 years passed. I remember when I was watching the movie, it was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, because you basically look at the characters and they look older, and you're like, oh shit. And then Griffith says it's been 3 years.
In the movies, you get an overview of a battlefield, and there's text that says 3 years later.
But I don't know.
But it's very quick.
The narrator saying it is so good.
And I will remind everyone who's currently watching, it's the same narrator as in this world.
That whole monologue, I wanted to write it all down, but it's so fucking long.
Yeah.
It starts on like a very individual level. It talks about a man wields his sword to protect what he holds dear. He doesn't know where he's going, and very clearly talking about Guts, but he, just says a man.
A man draws his sword in order to protect the small wound deep in his heart. It was inflicted in the days long past, at the farthest reach of his memories. A man wields his sword in order to depart life with a smile, in the days far ahead, beyond the reach of his memory.
And then it expands to the war between Shooter and Midland, and it falls back to death on the battlefield, known as the Band of the Hawk, have been fighting on the side of Midland. And
a kingdom in the west and an empire in the east, the war between Midland and Shooter has lasted 100 years. During the war, the death on the battlefield, known as the Hawks, increased their power many-fold, fighting on the side of Midland.
Because of this battle where the black ram heavy cavalry, purple rhino bullshit, whatever.
No, the Rhino Knights have not shown up yet. Don't
be hasty.
That's a continuity error.
Isn't that them?
No. It's the Black Ram Heavy Assault Cavalry.
Oh, whatever. The super duper awesome team show up and they're killing people. Okay.
And Forces comes on.
Forces, thank God. It cuts in the King of Midland is like, oh, we're getting fucked up. If only there was someone to help.
I do like his line though, where he's like, I'd give anything to the man who can stop the eternal march of Tudor's black devils. Then I love this cut where Forces is playing and the Rams are like charging, and then suddenly you see like one horse turn, and he's just in the middle of like this opening, and you're like, well, I wonder who the fuck it is.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's Guts.
It's Judo. Oh shit.
What a twist. He's charging like 30 people, and they're like, well, he's gonna take us on his own? Very well. I'll crush your bones into... Gets bisected. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And then that's the end of that episode.
We talked for so long about that episode. Holy shit. I like the next episode, but there's definitely not as much. I mean, to be fair though, episode 4 has like so fucking many things that are so iconic about Berserk. Episode 4 has so many scenes where it's like, when you think about Berserk, you're like, when Griffith holds up the Bayonet, that scene's been like done in every adaptation of Berserk. That scene where he holds it up. It's in every, even the new one, it's in every one. Like,
they make a point of it, yeah.
It's such an iconic moment. If I had to compile for you 10 images of Berserk, that'd be like number 3.
And the funny thing is, on Tumblr, I saw someone compile the manga, the 97, the movie, and then the 2016 shot of him holding it up. It looked really cool, actually.
I loved it. There's so many fucking iconic moments. Almost none are in episode 5. But
I think episode 5 has actual like non-manga content, actually.
Which I actually really like. And we'll
I do too.
Let's get into it, shall we? Into a Wind of Swords, right?
Yes.
Yeah, which, fun fact, does anyone know the alternate title of this series?
Berserk Swordwind Chronicles?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Which
That's
is
weird.
Interesting. I thought that was kind of...
That's so weird.
Kind of
why wouldn't you just call it the Golden Age?
Well, because...
That'd be smart.
This was the series that made the Golden Age like an iconic name, I'd say.
Yeah, but Swordwind Chronicles? Are you fucking with me?
It reminds me of Naruto Shippuden, which means like Hurricane Chronicles.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's like Naruto Hurricane Chronicles, yeah.
Oh my god.
So, opening right back up again, right where the last episode left off.
Tell me why. So
yeah.
Sorry.
So remember when I said that there is basically a legion of Sean Schemmel soldiers? This is them. I guarantee you 80% of the cries of the screaming people that Guts is tearing apart, most of those are probably Sean Schemmel.
I noticed that. I assume they were all brothers.
Yeah, exactly.
The Schemmel family
house
is
has
very
ended.
strong.
So we have that battle scene, which is
cool,
fun.
But it wraps up pretty quick, and the idea that now it's 3 years later.
And we meet Gaston!
Yeah, we get Gaston.
Oh, I like how I went to Guts' biceps, and you guys were like, "Oh man, Gaston!"
Well,
Gaston, my husband.
They're both symbols of manliness, I assure you.
Yeah, Gaston, by the way, for those who
the second of the, I believe he's the second in command under Guts as far as the Raiders go.
Yeah, and they have this cool. They're all congratulating Guts as they're walking past the wounded who are in the foreground, and it's so fucking good. Like we get the background, everyone's like, "Oh my god, he is so great! You're so amazing!" As we see the wounded dying and coughing,
and that really is great because the very next scene is Casca berating him. Someone's gonna get killed because of your recklessness.
It's so fucking good. I saw that shot and I was like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
So,
before we get to the Casca thing, I just want to say after Guts won the battle, Griffith gives him a thumbs up, and Casca's really jealous of that.
Yeah. So when they come across Casca, this actually has one of my favorite dub moments that I just found out existed. You have Guts' fanboys, led by Gaston, like flocking around him, being like, Guts, you're fucking awesome. You're the best. You're the greatest. And they come around this corner, and standing up above them on this ledge is Casca, who addresses him as Sir Captain Guts.
May I have you alone for a moment, Sir Captain Guts?
You know, once again, clearly very pissed, not happy with him. My favorite reaction, you have all the guys who are around Guts will be like, Casca. And then there's one fucking guy who has a hand over his mouth, so he's clearly like covering up. And I had to like go back and listen to this again, but the guy who like has a hand over his mouth says, "Oh shit, it's Casca!" But it's like muffled.
Does he?
Yeah, he's like, it's Casca.
No.
Because all the other guys are like, Commander Casca. Oh, Commander Casca. This is the equivalent of the exploding ammunitions man.
Yes, it is absolutely.
He does say, "Oh shit, it's Casca."
Yeah. It's so good. I love it. It's so funny.
And let me cut ahead real quick. So later on, whenever Casca's leaving this place after she has a talk with Guts, she steps on Corcus's foot and he falls down. And then as he's like groaning, he says,
Sorry.
Oh, shit.
"Oh shit!"
I loved it. It was so good.
So we get two shits in the course of like 2 minutes. That's amazing.
I love everyone's exasperated swearing in Berserk. It's so over the top, but at the same time, it feels so realistic. Yeah, these people are like pissed off. They're frightened. They're like in a battle. Yeah, they'd probably say, "Oh, you bastard! Oh shit! Oh, damn it!" You know?
We cut to them talking. There's a really nice like kind of painting of the wide shot.
Yeah,
and Casca is basically saying, "Dude, why'd you charge ahead like that? You could have gotten like everybody hurt or killed or even yourself killed, and you're a valuable asset." Guts is all kind of like, "Whatever, Mom."
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it'll never happen again.
I apologize. It won't happen again.
This is something that's really, it's really interesting to me, because I get that she's saying you aren't following Griffith's plan, like you're causing problems, but at the same time, it seems so weird to like hear her say, you went off on your own and challenged all these men by yourself, leaving your squadron behind. You're going to put your squadron in danger. And it's like, you clearly don't care about them. And it's like, wouldn't he be challenging them all on his own and like keeping his squadron away to protect them?
But if he dies, morale's broken.
Yeah, no, I think what she's saying is that they're going to get inspired to do the same thing, maybe that Gus is a bad influence and that they need to be united under Griffith's vision of battle.
I can see that.
You know, she doesn't like him. You know, like that's probably a big motivator. Yeah. But what I love is Guts's reaction changes as soon as she accuses him of not giving a shit about his men and that he just wants to swing his sword. That he's the same kid that he was when he just wanted to fight, and he gets so mad.
And he's nothing but a mad dog.
Yeah,
and then he grabs her fucking wrist and he's like, "Say that again." Oh.
This scene's really prevalent that you can tell that Guts is aged.
Yes.
He looks so much older.
They do this reveal shot earlier where he lifts up his visor and says, "Sorry if I got carried away out there." And it's like, oh, this man is clearly older.
Then Griffith shows up and he's like,
we have this really good moment where they have their whole buddy-buddy moment, but there is this point where Guts says, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry that I charged ahead. I kind of broke rank and whatever." And Griffith is like,
I drew up those plans with your propensities in mind.
And it's like, aw.
It's so good.
Aw.
And he also says to Griffith,
I do care about them. In my own way, I do care about my men.
I'm not the same kid I was.
And you can tell that he's telling the truth.
And it's like, oh,
absolutely.
Dear.
And they kind of reminisce about their fight and how that's how true fights should be like, and how fun it was.
It's just the way it's setting up things is so great. I love it.
And then this is when he's knighted. I think it's the end of the scene before and throughout this whole montage of Band of the Hawks gaining prestige, the song Earth playing, which is another one of the main themes. That's where it has like the bagpipes and really cool. Not quite at Forces level, but a really good, this is a Berserk song. Yeah, it's so weird, but it works.
Yeah. Basically, during the scene, the people are kind of saying, like, the Band of the Hawk need to be fucking shut the fuck down.
They're getting triggered.
Yeah, how dare you. And then we cut over and we see a couple of them, and then Corcus turns to Rowan and he's like, "Hey, isn't this fucking rad?"
He's like, "Look at us. I knew we could do this the whole time.
Now we can do whatever we want." And Casca's like, "No, you fucking can't."
I gotta say, something that always confuses me, it still confuses me throughout all the adaptations, the religion in the Berserk world.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very heavily drawing on like medieval Europe stuff, like in terms of setting, in terms of like what the kingdoms are like. The religion is so interesting because I think in the manga they might say that there's a papacy.
There is, yes.
Yeah, so there is a pope. We know there's a Book of Revelations, at least.
They talk about the Holy See.
Yeah. The symbol isn't a cross. It's like this weird...
It's like a bird. It's like a hawk.
It's like a falcon?
Yes, it's a falcon, yes. Well, basically, it's very interesting.
Can I just say, I love Guts's training method of one-handed swinging his sword with logs around it, because the fucking Zweihander times 5 isn't enough of a challenge. He's got to add a bit more, which comes in handy since eventually he does get an even bigger sword.
He's also swinging with one arm.
Yeah, I think he was at like 100 swings too.
200.
200.
It ends at 200. But also during Griffith's knighting, we see some court people who will come back later. Like I like to call this man Melted Grumpy Gummy Bear.
Julius? Are you sure you want to count Julius?
Is he the father to Adonis?
Yes.
Then yes.
Yes.
Melted Grumpy Gummy Bear. He
I thought you were talking about Mr. Falls for a second.
No. See, Julius kind of reminds me of a pit bull. Like, he's got very strong jowls. Yeah, and he's like, commoners.
His constant grumpy face matches that of Dredd.
I was about to say, his scowl is like Judge Dredd.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
He is the law.
Carl Urban confirmed for Count Julius and the live action adaptation.
All right, got it. Got him.
And then we cut, and then we're at a battle, and Judo's like, I planned some shit out. And then all three of us are probably like, this wasn't in the manga.
It took me a little bit. It took me until a certain character known as Adon Korbowitz.
Of the Korbowitz family line.
Of the Korbowitz family line stretched back hundreds of generations.
Basically, they had to raid the supply base, and they plotted out. There's some fighting between the crew. Corcus is the douchebag.
I fucking love that. I wrote down Corcus v. Guts.
Confirmed.
Because there's just this moment where Corcus is like, oh, so Guts will get all the credit again. And then there's just this moment where Guts looks at him and he's just like, excuse me? And Corcus is like, yeah, that's right. You want to take it outside? And it's like, do you remember who this man is?
I want to see that fight so bad.
Like, what if Corcus is like really, really good though?
I mean, he said he was supposed to be the one to take out Bazuzo in a different Berserk thing.
One thing that I did like, is a small detail, is that maybe it's because it's not in the manga and they were like, we got to do something different, is that they purposely do the opposite tactic of what they did in the first battle, where in the first battle they snuck from behind and lit it on fire, but this time he's like, no, we can't afford to do that, we have to take them head on. So it was a nice little detail for me.
I also love this moment where it's like, Casca and Guts, you have to work together on this, and great fucking scene where Casca's like talking to Guts and he's like, hey, we gotta get along on this, we gotta work together, you know I gave you shit before, but I can't have you running off doing your own thing. Guts doesn't say a damn thing to any of this, he just leaves. It's like, doesn't give a fuck.
I love it because also Casca steps in for Guts again.
Against Corcus,
it's so great.
She wants unity.
And Griffith walks up and is like, you people need to calm the fuck down.
He also says, I'm counting on you, Casca. We do cut over and we get a non-manga introduction to this, one of the rivals. This voice actor, let me tell you where I first heard him.
Oh, geez.
He is the official voice of Dr. Eggman.
Oh my god.
That explains so many things.
Oh, of all the lazy, here I go to the trouble of waking that dark Gaia thing up. And it causes me nothing but delay.
You spineless toad! Who would bother to attack such a remote supply base?
Yup.
He's absolutely glorious.
But I do love this voice actor. He's got so much personality in that
This
voice.
whole character, I always describe him as he walked on to Berserk from the wrong set.
Yes.
And no one had the heart to tell him that he was on the wrong set. And he's just there. And you can't, he's not leaving.
And I think that's great.
And it works so well because there's so many times in Berserk where it's like, oh, gritty dark fantasy. Then we have the super awesome Rainbow Knights.
I think it's cool because you balance the comic relief on the good guy side with the comic relief on the villain side.
Yeah.
But I do like how after this, it cuts over to like two archers.
Huh? What is it? There. You see that? Hey! What the?
Yes. And I laughed so hard where he's like,
can Berserk stop giving us random enemies that we like?
Yeah, I know. It's really making it hard to watch them die.
And then once the archers go down, you have this very dignified, very calm response from Adon Korbowitz, where he goes,
what the hell?
You see.
And the best part about that is he's not even like hurt or offended or whatever that someone's attacking him. It's that someone actually thought to attack this outpost and no other. That it's like, really, we're so unimportant. He's not scared. He's not frightened. He's just like disappointed.
This is called the disappointment face. It has been passed down through the Korbowitz family for 205 years.
We have him like strolling up to the front gates, like very pissed off, very like, I don't want to deal with this. He sees all of his men running away, and he says, don't fall back! And then he immediately sees Guts charging straight at him, to which he immediately runs away.
and then one of his men like looks after him like, oh.
The comedic timing is so good.
Yeah, it really is.
Like,
his master plan is to lure them in. Gets a little like gunpowder and whatnot and like starts a fire. Griffith's like at the front of the line and he's headed through, and then Guts like bursts ahead.
Because he sees the smoke rising from where he set the fire.
Yeah, and then so Casca like screams at him. Says like, get back here! Like she is like, oh my god, that's so terrifying. And then he basically goes over and he's like, oh, it's a trap, Griffith, turn around. And Griffith's like, oh shit, you're right.
Casca thinks that Guts is running off off again being a hero, but in truth, he's actually trying to warn everybody to, hey, it's about to blow the fuck up.
And get this really awesome moment where she acknowledges that, and she's like, hey, I thought you were being a jackass again.
No, Nathan. Before that, we get Corbowitz saying, what does he fucking say?
That was a special 300-year-old Corbowitz family fleeing technique.
But Sir Adon, we lost the fort and all our supplies were destroyed!
Silence! Stop prattling, you beetle! Now, withdraw the troops!
Or some shit. And then his sassy buddy is like, but sir, didn't we just like lose some of our men in the entire supply post and all the supplies within it? And he's like, ah.
I love it. He's so funny.
Whatever.
And I never get tired of him.
And then we cut back and everyone's okay. No, none of the Band of the Hawk have died. And Casca acknowledges that, hey, Guts, I'm sorry.
I was wrong.
And I like this more because in the manga, Casca's is a bitch for a while, and I kind of like in this where
she's still going to be a bitch, but
well, yeah, but at least she starts to acknowledge that Guts could be a good person.
Yeah,
which I enjoy more than constant bitch.
Hey, you want to know what my comment on it is? There's a way to do good filler, and guys, this is it.
Characters grow. It's so good.
Yeah. I love the look that Griffith gives when he sees Casca acknowledging Guts. Like, he kind of smiles over at them.
He's like, thank God.
Yeah.
He ships it.
And then Corbowitz comes up and he's like, I fucked them up. And then this dude is like, no, you didn't. And he's like, yeah, I did. And the guy's like, did you check for the bodies? And he's like, of course I did. And he's like, no, you didn't.
No, you dumb shit.
You fucking stupid. Don't fuck up again. And then he goes and tells his boss, who was being poured wine from this very young boy who has
in a toga,
very short shirt or tunic.
Yep, very short.
Very short. Look at those legs. Anyway, basically, the guy informs him saying it was the Band of the Hawk. He gets a feeling that you might know who these people are, or he's heard of them at least.
Yeah, he's like, Band of the Hawk, and then it's the guy's General Boscone, and Boscone's like, sir? And he's like, never you mind. And it's like all close up on his mouth, and you're like, oh god. It's cool how this episode sets up Adon as a rival, a direct rival, then it sets up Boscone as the man behind Adon, and then it sets up Genin as the man behind Boscone. And I
think we get a few more scenes like that too.
Yeah,
I love how they established the antagonists really early.
Then we get a meeting with the king and grumpy, melty gummy bear face.
I'm gonna call him Dread, but
yeah, Dread. And also we get to see a little bit of a character who shows up, I think, more prominently later, who's this short little bald man,
Minister Foss.
There's this one part that I really love where they're discussing like battle plans to lead a certain campaign, and this one nobleman is like, oh, the Band of the Hawk, don't be ridiculous, most unorthodox, my army should be the one to lead the offensive. And the king looks right at him and he's like, will you win? And it's like, what? Can you swear to me right now that if you lead this campaign, you will fucking win? And the guy's like, I'm unorthodox. It's a fairly simple looking scene. You know, it just kind of sets up, once again, the fucking annoying court games of the nobles and how the king has an ever-growing boner for the talents of the Band of the Hawk.
Yeah, we get the idea that the court does not like the Band of the Hawk, and that they will eventually do something about that.
Yes. One thing is that, I mean, we'll talk about it later, but for drawing like a corollary, like Minister Foss, he's basically what I call the Varys of this council.
Yeah.
Like, he's basically like the guy who's just always like keeping an eye on everything and doesn't say much, but when he does, it's important. So like basically the court, they're not happy people. Like
they don't enjoy seeing this commoner rise up.
Well, they don't. They hate the fact that they need him. Like,
yeah,
it'd be one thing if they were just like really good, but the fact that like they're losing unless the Band of the Hawk is there, they're dependent on them. And that just drives some of them furious.
One of the things I like about the Golden Age a lot is the politics.
Yes.
I love politics, and it's nice seeing, because later on in the plot, so much other stuff is happening where politics don't really come into play very often.
Yeah. Like I said, when I first found this series, I was like, oh, this is a series called Berserk. Let me look at it. Oh, here's this guy with a giant fucking sword. What's his name? Oh, his name's Guts. I'm like, this is gonna be some like crazy violent
dumb shit.
I thought there was gonna be like steampunk shit to it because I saw the cover of the first manga, weird shit like that. This is gonna be absurd. I can't take this seriously. And then I watch it. They're gonna do like the complexities of court and noble corruption. The show's called Berserk. What the fuck?
But then I think the ending of it sets that they've been chosen to attack this castle, and it's in the freeze frame and them going towards it.
And the castle looks very ominous. I wonder if they'll encounter some problems with this one.
We'll be spending the next episode or two in there, I think. I don't know, I haven't watched it yet, but I assume that this is going to be a big moment, because there's been that court scene of them setting up that
this is a big deal.
It was just some random battle. They would just kind of be there, like how in the Adon scene where they're just there.
Yeah.
But if there's a whole court scene beforehand setting it up, if it's not an important element of the plot or like a big event, why do it?
Well, good thing they did, right?
Yeah.
So last time we did say the titles of the next 2 episodes. Do we want to do that this time?
So episode 6 is called Zod the Immortal.
Which is like, what does that mean?
And then episode 7 is called The Sword's Owner.
What? Because like,
I'm very confused.
Because up till now you're like, oh yeah, so this is like, yeah, there's everything's normal, and like, yeah, there's a creepy potato with an eye, but like, and then you get the episode title Zod the Immortal, and you're like, what does that mean?
To be fair, we got Hand of God.
Yeah, but he was describing.
Yeah, but we didn't know that before we watched it.
Yeah, but
you don't know what could happen before that.
Okay, fine. Going back to the episodes, any closing thoughts on these two? What did you guys think? Start with you, Sal.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I was making a Wikipedia account.
No worries.
4 was fucking fantastic. Like 5 was great too, but 4 was like so. I said earlier, but so jam packed with so many iconic Berserk moments, and so many things that you think about Berserk. There are moments you go back to in your head, and you're like, I remember that fucking speech, and I'm like, oh fuck. And yeah, there's so many moments that are so iconic that in every adaptation, even how shitty as it is, they should show it because it's so important. And
that was good. Sorry. I surrender. You won the day.
Seriously, Berserk 2016 is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
No,
but yeah,
that series doesn't exist.
I think episode 5. I can't even call it filler. No, so much good shit happens. Filler to me is if you cut this out, nothing on the story will change.
Yep.
And I can't do that.
This is more an elaboration.
It is. It's taking more of its time than in the manga, where it's like, no, these characters have to kind of grow and evolve, and they set up things that could pay off later.
One of the things I think that this Berserk anime is, as much as I do like it, it is not a 100% recreation of the manga, like panel by panel, and that's fine. I've looked at a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, and one of the things that they specifically said was that they cut down on a lot of the supernatural and a lot of the talk of fate and destiny, and they increased the amount of talk they put on camaraderie and friendship and trust. These are all concepts that are present in the manga, emphasized in different ways and to different extents. Because I think what this anime does really well, it's all about the characters. It's all about what they've been through. It's all about what they've learned, how they've grown, the struggles that they face in life. I think it's done beautifully. I think it's done perfectly.
Well said. And I'll just say that pretty much echoing what the other two said. Don't get us wrong, though. There's plenty of talk about fate and destiny. It's more spread out, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Like what Sal said, episode 4, as like a 23-minute episode, it's going to give you the whole backstory on like a main character. How the fuck is it that good? Can I just say that?
It's so short, but it's so concise and interesting.
And yeah, they skip over the rape and stuff, and that is arguably an important part of Guts' character. But given the content they are allowed to show, how they're doing it in one episode, props to the people who made it. And episode 5, again, like, if only that it exists to show how to do filler, it's awesome and it's amazing. And again, I don't think that we're gonna come across an episode of this particular series where one of us hates it and the other two people, nobody's on the same page. I think we're all pretty much on the same page, and it's mostly just because Berserk 97 is so consistent.
Yeah. I like how you had a
Berserk.
Yeah, specify. Yeah, you almost just were gonna leave it at Berserk.
Well, most Berserk is very consistent. But I will say that I quite enjoyed these 2 episodes. Great follow-up from 2 and 3. We've already had so much development, and it's like not even. It's like what, a fourth of the way into the series.
You're very much excited to see what's gonna happen next, and like,
oh yeah,
the plot is kind of solidifying. I remember last episode I said that we don't really know what the plot is yet. Now there's more of an idea of what. Okay, we've joined this war. We know our side. sides. We want to get to here. This is our goal.
These are the bad guys.
And we're going to use this war to get to that goal. We want to rise to the top. We want to
yes.
we want to become the best.
Relatable shit.
Yeah, we're all growing as a family. That's the plot. And this episode sets up what that plot is. Last episode, we didn't quite know because Guts didn't know where he was in his life. In the course of these 2 episodes, Guts understands what he wants to be and who he wants to be. Guts has a purpose now. Something he probably hasn't had since Gambino died.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
And to echo what you said, there's been so many times I just want to skip to the next episode, but I hold back so that my thoughts are more contained.
It's just fucking, it's Berserk. What do you want from me?
What do you want from us?
Yeah. I think that's about it. Nathan, do you have anything you want to say, or are we done?
Once again, thanks to everyone who's watching. Please do leave comments. Let us know what you think of these episodes. Let us know what you think of our analysis. If you think there's something that we didn't miss, this is Berserk. I've said it before, but I will say it again and again. This is one of the greatest epic fantasies of our time. I love how much it draws people together because it's really good.
It's funny how much the community is always on the hunt for new Berserk content. They're never the fandom never dies. It's just always looking.
Yeah, thank you everybody. I'm pretty sure we're gonna post this on the subreddit too. We need the views. But yeah, leave comments. Say what we did wrong. Because the video got over 200 views. There were going to be some dislikes, but tell us why.
Yeah,
tell me why.
No, I didn't.
Tell me why.
God damn it.
Just, hey, if there's haters, we're just going to put our glasses on and nothing will be wrong.
Yeah, but if you have legitimate criticism, let me know. Because
any concerns, comments?
Because, if it's in our analysis or in my editing, I need to know. Okay?
This is an editing technique passed down for 200 years.
This is an editing technique passed down for over 200 years. Son of a bitch. All right, next time a lot of bullshit happens and it's amazing.
Yep.
Bye.
Got him.
The rain may never fall till after sundown. By 9 p.m. the moonlight must appear. In short, there's simply not a more congenial spot for happily ever aftering than here.